Hey guys, Crispy here. Just continuing on with our series today. Apologies for the lack of content lately. I've just had a lot of sort of real life things getting in the way of the important stuff, Warhammer. Today I'm going to go over the Forge World Squiggoth and a few of the changes that have been applied to him in the new edition or 8th edition. So first off, this is my Squiggoth here. Painted this guy for a tournament. It was sort of at the end of 7th edition, basically. Unfortunately, I lost this horn. I couldn't find it. I don't know where I stuck it. So this is actually a horn from. It's from the sort of throne thing that the Saurus Old Blood sits in when he's on top of the Carnosaur. I just had a spare one because I had I built a Carnosaur, and then I also built what's that other thing? The Troglodon. So anyway, I digress. So the Squiggoth. So obviously this guy, he actually had a couple renditions. So the first one that they created for this guy for basically 5th edition, he had 4 wounds. He was, I think, Strength 5, Toughness 6. He cost you 60 points, so he was just a really cheap, monstrous creature. He only had a 5+ save. I used him a couple times, and every time I used him, I was always versing a friend of mine, and he would just basically kill the thing with a heavy bolter every time, and it was sad. It was super sad. I was always really upset, and because the model was cool and it looked bigger than, it looked like it needed more than 4 wounds. I'll say that. But 60 points, I couldn't really complain at the time. Then they released Imperial Armor. I think it was 13, volume 13. And he got a significant boost. I think he went up to 6 to 8 wounds. He was Strength and Toughness 6. He had a 3+ save. He was about 120 points. He could transport 15 guys. You could also stick lobbers, zap guns, and cannons in the Howarder up the top here if you wanted to. There's sort of like a bit here, as you can see, where you could stick them through. I never really bothered with those upgrades. I used to, when he got sort of a significant boost, I would stick 15 shooter boys, or what were they called? They're called spanner boys, because I was running the dread mob, the pure dread mob. So they had spanner boys. So I'd stick 15 spanner boys up the top with shooters, and basically he was just a mobile sort of shooting fortress, basically. He could fight. After he took 1 wound back in Imperial Armor 13, he would rampage, and then I think he got like an extra D6 attacks in combat from then on, and he had 3 base, so possible 9 attacks with a monstrous creature was quite nice. Having said that, my Squiggoth in the tournament I took him to at the end of 7th edition, he never saw combat, so it was a little bit sad, but he was still quite useful. He ate up a lot of shooting, and yeah, I really enjoyed him. In the new edition, I think he's gotten, considerably better in some ways, and not so good well, it's not even really not so good. His transport capacity was reduced, but I think it needed to be reduced looking at these changes. So anyway, so let's go over his stats. So he has 18 wounds now, and obviously with 18 wounds comes the degrading profile. So after you take basically 9 wounds, that's when it drops down to the next tier, and then when you've only got 1 to 3 wounds left over, you're in the last tier. I will say one thing: he doesn't actually degrade all that much, which is quite nice as well. Keeps him fairly reasonable as far as strength goes. So in his first profile, he's got a movement value of 10, and his strength is 7, and he has 5 attacks. And then obviously that's going to go down from there. So second level, he's going to have 8-inch movement, strength 6, 4 attacks. And then when he's only on 1 to 3 wounds left, he's going to have a 6-inch move, strength 5, and 3 attacks. So still not too bad, really. As far as the other stats go, he's hitting on 4s, he's shooting on a 5+, he's toughness 7, 18 wounds now, which is just beastly. Leadership 6 and a 4+ save. So the leadership's not really going to bother you all that much unless someone's got some sort of attack that uses the leadership value. to deal damage, but otherwise you don't have to worry about running away because this is a singular choice. He comes with the Gore and Horns upgrade, and then you can also, if you want to, purchase a heavy weapon for him. The heavy weapons available to you are the cannon, the lobber, and the zap gun, and they're just the same profiles as you get in the normal regular Orc Index. The Gore and Horns, they are -3 to someone's save, d6 damage, and they're the strength of the user, so fairly significant right there. You know, like I think this guy has a really good chance of beating a lot of Tyrannid monstrous creatures. And you know, you could probably, even when you're on 3 wounds, you could probably take out some characters around the spot place if you roll sort of semi well. As far as abilities go, he's got a Howder rule. What that allows you to do is that you can put 10 guys in him, and then you can shoot anywhere from this model. So you know, I could just measure off the tip here or whatever. Just sort of like exactly like a vehicle works now. And then you can, the other thing that you get to do is that even if the Squiggoth is fighting, the unit that's embarked, they can still fire at other targets. They can't shoot the target that the Squiggoth's fighting itself, but they can shoot others. So that obviously makes this guy a really good choice for, I think, tank busters. And then he also has another rule called Stampede. So when you complete a charge, you can select a unit within 1 inch of him, and then you just deal D3 mortal wounds. So that's like a, you know, that's a fairly nice mechanic right there. If you could line up a charge with someone with only like 1 or 2 wounds left over, and then a fresh target, declare against both. You know, pick off one with the mortal wounds, and then deal your normal attacks on the other one. And then as far as the transport capacity goes, he can do 10. And obviously Mega Armor and Jump Pack troops, they count as 2, so you could only do 5 of those guys. Points wise, you're looking at 5 points for his Gore and Horns, and he comes with a base cost of 190. So he is, I think he's a decent choice. Let's go on to some options that you could possibly put him with. Obviously, I wanted to mention you might want to stick some burner boys on this guy. Just because the Squiggoth itself is quite large, so I don't know, like, you know, with the tip of the model and stuff, you know, you got a decent threat range around the Squiggoth with these burners. Obviously, you can't do any Overwatch or anything like that, even if you're embarked. But still, burners might be a decent choice. The Squiggoth's movement of 10, get them up there fairly quickly. The only thing is that with the limited range of only 8 inches on the burners themselves, once the Squiggoth is fighting someone, it's not very likely that the enemy is going to get within 8 inches so that you can hit them with the burners. But who knows? They might be careless, and then you can capitalize on that. And then the other one, which I think is a clear winner, is just 10 tank busters. I've been testing this out because I'm thinking of taking it to a tournament, and yeah, I think it's going to be super savage. Obviously, Squiggoth, charge him on in. He's protected while he's fighting people in combat. Then you've got these cool old tank busters up top, just popping off shots. You know, re-rolling hits against vehicles. 17 points a model. You know, it's. I think it's all gravy. I think that's a good choice. And then other support units, obviously custom force field's a good idea with this guy, and with the new 9-inch range on the custom force field, it's pretty easy to fit the Squiggoth wholly within that, so you get that 5++. And then I don't actually, the Pain Boy won't affect this guy, because I think the Pain Boy only affects infantry, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong in that, because I'm just going off the top of my head, let me know. If I am wrong, then obviously a Pain Boy would also be another good choice, along with the custom force field. Give the Squiggoth the 6+ feel no pain. On top of that, then you've got the 5++ invulnerable, and then the Squiggoth has a base save of 4+. So that could make him extremely hard to kill. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps this video up, guys. That is the Forge World Squiggoth in all his glory. I think he is a fairly competitive choice. 195 points with his Gore and Horns. I think he is definitely worth that. I mean, you're paying 151 points for a Death Dread, and the Death Dread, while it has 1 point extra in its save, he doesn't have 18 wounds, and I think that the Squiggoth would have a decent chance of killing a Death Dread. Of course, the Death Dread's got a good chance of killing the Squiggoth, but I don't know. I think that they're definitely on the same level. Personally, I'd probably go the Squiggoth just because of the transport options you've got available to you there. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll be doing another video shortly on my tournament list. All right, thanks, bye.